This week, we saw the beginning of the Epic versus Apple trial, which is a court case that involves Epic suing Apple for allegedly being anti competitive. And I thought I would try and give a brief overview of what's going on here, even though this is an extremely complicated situation that has many, many dynamic assets to it. In short, the main issue is that Epic takes offense to Apple's demand of 30% of a revenue cut from the App Store, whereas the developer keeps 70% and Apple gets 30%. And Epic's argument is that they are essentially doing nothing to deserve that 30%, just kind of existing as a platform. Epic started their own store on PC where they only take 12% and give the developer 88%, so they believe that they have kind of a ground to stand on, that this is how the industry should be and that it is oppressive for large and small developers to have to pay that much. To set this up, they introduced an update into Fortnite several months ago that allowed you to buy the game's currency by bypassing Apple's payment system entirely and just paying a discounted sum to Epic. Apple responded by immediately banning Fortnite from the App Store, and it has been banned ever since. This was Epic's plan, and they decided to launch their big court case that they had prepared because they knew they would get banned, and that has led us to today, where the trial really starts in earnest, and it's going to be about 45 hours of arguments on each side and should take several weeks, but it's only been a day or two of testimony, and it is already pretty wild. Pretty much, there's two different angles to this, and both sides think that they're right, and we have to see who is ultimately sided with. Epic believes that this is not just important for Fortnite, but also the entire future of kind of the mobile ecosystem and the potential metaverse. The concept that Fortnite is more than just a game, it is a shared social space, and having to run all transactions through it, taking this 30% cut, is anti-competitive and is going to really hamper the growth of the metaverse in the long run, in addition to hurting individual games and apps right now. Apple, meanwhile, has all these different arguments kind of lined up against Epic, that this whole thing was a stunt that they set up, that iOS revenue is not actually a large part of Fortnite's overall revenue picture, so they're kind of making a big fuss about nothing when this doesn't really hurt them that much. They're also making the argument that the 70%, 30% cut is industry standard, and they shouldn't be singled out kind of the way they are, and Epic is not going after, say, Microsoft or Sony that have a 70-30% cut on console. Epic's response to that is that the console business is an entirely different scene, and because of hardware subsidies and things like that, that kind of split is warranted, whereas Epic or Apple is making a massive profit margin. Early numbers were something like, I think, 70-80% profit margin on its 30% cut for doing pretty much nothing but existing as the only store on its mobile devices and not allowing other stores. So that's kind of the baseline of where we are right now. And there will be many lengthy arguments made by both sides to try and sway everyone as to who's right. I do not know how this is going to go. This is a pretty big risk for Apple, or it's a risk for both of them, but it's a risk for Epic as the smaller company. But we do have other companies like Facebook and Microsoft that have kind of taken jabs, sensing Apple's weakness in this situation. So we'll have to see what happens. Every day there's some sort of new disclosure that triggers a cascade of breaking news stories, sometimes not even related to Epic and Apple at all, but other practices within the industry. So that's been kind of wild to see. So stay tuned and we'll see what happens with this case, but that is your kind of generic overview as to what's happening so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.